So you also mentioned about the importance of sales data and reading data. So why is that so important for you?
Well, the sales data is great. It's something that self-published authors have an incredible advantage over even big publishers. I showed my publisher in the UK one time. We were on a train heading out to a science fiction convention, and I opened my laptop and showed him how I could look at my sales in real time, and he freaked out. He was like, "Man, I would love to have this for our books." But where it's helpful is you do book signings and media events and promotions, and you might have a free giveaway, and you can learn what things work and what things don't work because you can see it immediately. If there's a jump in sales that day, sometimes I can look at my sales and see that something happened, and I can search the web and find out who wrote about the book on what website. And that way you can reach out to them and thank them and form relationships with the people that are giving your career a boost. So, all this information is helpful. Not knowing is never helpful. I would much rather have more data and ignore some of it than be confused and not know what's happening. The reader data, you're probably thinking of the digital streaming people like Oyster that want to that can show you how far into the book people read before they gave up on it. I like to think of writing as just a different type of oral storytelling. This is the origin of our passion for sharing stories started like you and I are just talking right now. And if you fell asleep right now, I would know that what I was talking about was not interesting, and that would give me feedback. Like, okay, when I started talking about my dog, she took a nap. So she's just not interested in my dog. Well, when you're writing books, you don't have this feedback like you do when you're telling stories around a campfire. People aren't laughing or applauding or crying or cheering. And so you're left guessing, am I making an impact with this reader? And I think I do this, and I think probably most writers who are married do this. I give my manuscript to my wife and I watch her read it. I'll sneak around the corner and I'm watching her read. Like, is she laughing at the right part? Is she having an emotional response? And if I do hear her laugh in the other room, I'll say, what part are you reading right now? And she'll tell me, oh, it's this scene. And I'll know, okay, I did a good job with that scene. So these are things that storytellers used to have from readers, and now we don't. If they got to a point with the devices where they could say, someone gets to, like, a good percentage of people get to a certain chapter and stop reading, maybe you could look at that chapter and say, what was it about this that people didn't like? Just like a band, if they were playing live music, they could say, okay, everyone was dancing for all these songs, and we played that one song and everyone stopped dancing and people went to the bar. Maybe you don't play that song at the next gig. And it's just being a good artist to find out how people are responding to your creation.
So would you please take yourself as example how you use the data to better understand your readers?
Well, unfortunately, this is all theoretical. Amazon has this information for the Kindle, but they don't share it with the authors. I would love for them to, but I would like for them to share how many people, when they buy the first book, buy every book in the series. What are my old books? Which of my old books do most people go and check out? If there's one that people aren't going like from Wool to go check out The Hurricane, what if I lowered the price of The Hurricane? Would that make a difference? Publishers can't keep up with every book that they publish and have this much experimentation. It's just too much work. But every author loves their books and their work, so they have the motivation to follow this information and see what things I can do to, if I change the cover of a book that's not selling well, does that give it a boost? And if not, can I change it back and try something different? I just think it's helpful to experiment as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. So is there any other tools that helps you to have better understanding of your readers?
Well, putting my email address in the backs of books and letting people, in my print editions, if you open the front cover, my email address is there, my Twitter handle is there, so people can get in touch with me directly and tell me what they think about books and what they would love. Like, why don't you write a sequel to this story? And what happens next in this tale? So that's helpful. I also like reading the reviews that they leave on websites. This is where you can find out what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. A constructive negative review can help you become a better writer. And when people, I never get offended when people say they don't like my book because of the writing, because that's just, you can't please everybody. But you can learn something about what things you might do better as an author. And again, that's just more data, all those customer reviews. It's just so helpful. Before, you relied on the reviews only of professional reviewers in major media outlets. So you only had, if you were lucky, if you're a small-time writer, you might not get any reviews, maybe your local paper. So you just don't have much information. And now you have so much information, you get to pick and choose what parts you want to listen to.
But the tricky part is, I heard of some of the authors told me they don't really care about what readers thinking about, because they want to keep their arts, keep their work complete. So what do you think about this part? Because there are always some different opinions toward.
Yeah.
It's good to listen or care about what your readers thinking.
I think we don't all have to be the same artist, and expecting everyone to be homogenous and there's only one kind of artist out there is, I don't expect other people to share my views, and I wouldn't force it on them, and I wouldn't judge people for having a different view. I think if your goal is to create art, then you don't care what people think, and you probably don't care how many copies you sell and how many readers you have. My goal is to entertain, and if people aren't entertained, I want to know about that. I'm interested in the readers who are reading and enjoying the piece, and they're turning pages and reading late into the night. And if they're not doing that, what do I need to do better?
Mm-hmm. So for you, readers are very important, because you mentioned about your readers a lot of times during this interview. So why is that so important for you?
Well, this is something I've noticed too with self-published authors. We work directly with our readers. I think where you get your money from changes your perspective on who you're writing for. So when your money comes from a big publisher, the publisher's your customer. What do you need me to write next? And they're guessing what the reader wants. So there's someone in between the reader's taste and the author. Or you might write for your agent. Your agent says, we need this next. All my earnings, what pays my salary, comes from individual readers, in little $4, $2 increments. And so I know that those are the people who are supporting me. There's no confusion about who I'm writing for. I'm writing directly for them. And that means that being able to work at home all day like I am, and being able to travel and go to bookstores, and all the things that have happened to me have happened because of the readers. And that puts me in a position where I'm so thankful for them. I feel like I owe them just so much gratitude. And it's why I like to be very accessible to readers, and why I love meeting them when I'm out in public. It's very moving for me that so many people have been touched by my work, that they support me now. So not having anybody in between us, I think, forms a tighter bond and a greater appreciation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. So do you think that the publishers also need to put the readers in the center? Yeah,
one of my favorite blog posts that I've written on my website is one basically that says it's about the readers. The publishers really need to think of what the readers want. Mm-hmm. And again, like all of my ideas stem from that. Getting rid of digital rights management, lowering the price of ebooks, packaging ebooks with the hardbacks. What can you do to make the readers happy? That should be not how can we make bookstores happy, how can we make the media happy? There's all these other people that we can view as our customers. And I think we make bad decisions if we put anyone ahead of the reader. Let's just do everything we can for them and treat them like, put them on a pedestal and treat them as the royalty that they are. I mean, they provide everything for this industry.
Mm-hmm. So last time you mentioned about internet affect a lot of it, industry over the world and make some of the middlemen disappear. So what about in book industry? If some of the middlemen disappear, what kind of new rule, new character will come out after the ebooks and internet come to the industry?
Well, I think we're already seeing new important people, book bloggers, just regular readers who start their own website. Mm-hmm. And are avid readers, and they develop a reputation for what if you like something they recommend, you're going to like it. So these people have become very important, maybe even more important than the old newspaper reviewers. And publishers are now sending free books to these. A lot of them are very young, like in high school, and they read a lot of books and they publish what they love. And the word of mouth that they generate is so important, and that's a brand new middleman that really didn't exist before, these avid reviewers and avid readers. I think agents, literary agents, will be very important in the future because they're going to help discover new voices and help them self-publish. If once publishers stop taking more and more risks on new writers and they're just looking to do sequels and spend a lot of money on the books that they know will sell a lot of copies, literary agents might become the new person to help launch a career and help establish a readership and build your name up until they can do a deal with a big publisher. But in the end, the reader is still going to be the most important part. The reviews that they write, the sharing their favorite books on social media, that's how books go viral. That's how my career took off, and everyone that I see now, A.G. Riddle, Matthew Mather, Patricia Fitzgerald, all these people who are having sudden success, it's all happening from the reader, not from them buying advertisement and not from a publisher promoting their book. It's a handful of the right people fall in love with their story and tell everyone they know, and it snowballs.
Mm-hmm. So I read about your post about how do you want to fix the book industry if you are an owner of the book. Yeah, so I just wondering that there are so many discussions after you post it. So have you ever expected that when you write that?
No, I don't. When I write stuff on my blog, I don't expect anyone to read it because for 5 years, no one read my blog. So now when I write something and it gets spread on Twitter and everyone starts discussing it, it's really strange for me. And to be honest, it makes me a little scared to publish things on my blog now because it's easier when no one's going there. But I saw people from major publishers tweeting it to each other, and I thought, what are you doing on my blog reading this? So it's terrifying. But there's a lot of writers blogging about these changes, and I'm not the only one saying these things. And it's very, I was being very funny about it and tongue-in-cheek and not very serious about I would never want to run a publishing house. I'm having too much fun doing what I'm doing. But as a writer who wants other writers to do well and wants what's best for readers, I think there are things that they could change to help both of those parties. I think the bookstore model is so entrenched that publishers are thinking of the bookstore as their customer. And we need to get back to thinking of readers as our customers. And that means doing things like giving away ebooks with the hardbacks, lowering prices, releasing the paperback the same, maybe even get rid of the hardback for a lot of fiction titles and just get less expensive paperbacks out there. So as a bookseller and as a reader, I think of things that that publishers could improve. And I know they're working on these things. It just takes time. And maybe, I don't know, if enough people give them these suggestions, they'll see there's demand for these changes.
So how do you think of all this discussion? Do you think that's healthy for the industry, or?
Oh yeah, I think the more voices you have, the more opinions, the more transparency, the better. I mean, I would love to hear more readers weigh in on what they like to read, and That's what websites like Goodreads and the Amazon review system really helps. And I think publishers should spend a lot of time looking at the bestseller list and seeing what's doing well. In science fiction, one of the genres that I write in, the top books almost all the time are self-published books. And it shows that readers want these stories. And publishers, if they want to make money and stay in business, and bookstores should look at these lists and say, we need to carry these books, and we need to publish more books like these, and we need to sign more authors writing books like these.